Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What are companion videos? Well, I'm awfully glad that you asked. See, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday, we take the second half of the show to take your live comments and questions that you guys send in via the tip link. However, we normally don't have enough time to get around to all those live comments and questions that get sent in. But if you sent in those questions in support of the show, I want to make sure you don't have to wait too long to get those questions answered. So we gather them up and we address them here on companion videos. So, I'm going to let you guys know, I might be a little bit out of it. No, it's not that I might be a little bit out of it. I am probably a little bit out of it. I'm on a lot of medication. On Friday, you guys might remember that I had to cut the show short. You can probably tell I'm also not speaking completely 100% properly because I had to go and get my last wisdom tooth pulled. I had all my wisdom teeth pulled like 15, 20 years ago. But for whatever reason, the one we didn't get done, and I had to get it done, and had to go get it done. Turns out the tooth ended up being infected, and they put me on a whole bunch of medications and antibiotics and stuff like that. And man, your body just reacts weird when you get wisdom teeth taken out later on. So I'm a little cloudy. But you know what? Because we didn't have a show on Thursday and we had to cut the Friday show a little bit short, we started to fall behind a lot. So I want to make sure we did a show here today. So we'll go as long as we can today. Good to see all you guys in the live chat. Thank you for being here. I will try not to seem like somebody who's on drugs, although I am technically on drugs. I suppose you could say that. Not often that you're going to be able to see a show where John is technically on drugs. All right. With that down, guys, let's get into it, shall we? And we're going to start getting caught up here with Luis R., who writes in, I had a great time with the Hitman Wife's Bodyguard. While the overall story is whatever, what you go for is Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and Selma Hayek. And they are fantastic together, lots of laughs. Now, look, obviously I am, and by the way, thank you to everybody in the live chat for the well wishes and the get well soon messages. Appreciate that, guys. I am, obviously, you guys know, I am a big Ryan Reynolds fan, massive. And it's not just because he's a good Canadian kid. I just find the guy incredibly likable and enjoyable and entertaining. However, I did not have the chance to go see this movie yet. I am damn well sure going to go watch it. But obviously I've had a lot going on and I just haven't been able to pull it off yet. But I'm glad you liked it and I cannot wait to see it. All right, next up, we got Caleb, who writes, with Dune going to Venice Film Festival and now the Toronto International Film Festival, does this mean Warner Brothers thinks it's really great and we should get more excited? They wouldn't send it unless they had high hopes, especially with how savage Venice critics can be, right? Well, I mean, yeah, you would think. I mean, that does seem to make sense. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, Dune, it's all about who's directing it. And Dune is being directed by Denis Villeneuve. Depending on who you ask, some people will say he's the best director working today. Not everybody concurs, but I mean, there's a good chunk of people out there that think he might be the best director today, like right now. And if not the best, he's certainly ranked right up there. I mean, so you've got a lot going for you. So yes, the fact that they're taking a movie like this to such prestigious events like those is kind of big. But at the same time, you also got to remember that sometimes not so great movies are also taken to festivals. So is it a good sign? Yes. Would I say that automatically means that this is an Oscar contending movie? Not automatically, no. Although I have all the faith in the world in it because it's Denis Villeneuve directing it. All right, next up. We got Alex Detman, who writes, John, I went to Windsor last weekend and overall, I went to Windsor last weekend and overall of you profound, I'm not quite sure what that means, an amazing Canadian knowledge from great donuts to street dancing. Why the hell couldn't you tell me the dangers of drinking the prancing Mountie? It looked like a girl drink with after the first drink. I remember only what we could the next day after waking up let me try this again. After the first drink, I remember only what we could the next day after waking up. Am I the only one on drugs? To my girl, my ex-girl, who was up there with her boyfriend and couldn't be found. With that said, I may not remember, but one of them will slip one day about our night. Okay, I'm not really sure what all that means, but I will say this. The reason I do not warn you about any particular types of drinks is because some of you know, but not all of you know, I actually don't drink. Now, it's not because I have any sort of alcohol substance abuse problem. It's not because I have any religious convictions about drinking or anything like that. I don't drink simply because I don't like the taste of alcohol. I simply think it tastes like piss, which is really weird for a Canadian, as hardcore Canadian as I am, to not be a beer drinker. Oh, believe me, I have had government officials, question about whether or not they should take away my citizenship based on the fact that I don't drink beer. But yes, I don't drink. I don't drink it. Now, that's not to say it's a rule that I never, like, once in a blue moon, if everybody is toasting, I'll have a glass of wine, or, I'll have a Smirnoff Ice. Yes, I drink Smirnoff Ice. Mock me all you want. I am a very girly drinker. When I do drink, which is almost never, I'm a very, very girly drinker. Absolutely. But yeah, that's why you've never heard me warning you about any kind of drinking at all. All right, next up. Alex also writes, speaking of Fast 9 and the epic fights, I still contest that Hobbs and Dom in Fast 5 was amazing, and Fast 5 was the last, at least semi-down-to-earth, realistic, and best. Is it true Diesel has a clause saying anyone Dom fights must sustain the same damage? Well, I mean, look, this all goes to, and by the way, I think Fast 6, 7, and 8, while all these movies got progressively more ridiculous, the fact of the matter is, I believe all of those movies always kept at least one toe in the realm of quasi-plausibility. You know what I mean? That actually gave it a sense of risks and things like that. Like even up to 8, Fast 9 goes rather. By the way, they just put out the newest pitch meeting, the F9 pitch meeting on YouTube. You got to go watch it. It's one of the best they've done. Anyway, that said, one of my criticisms as a big fan of the Fast franchise, especially 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and as a massive fan of Vin Diesel, I love that guy. One of my criticisms about the Fast and the Furious franchise has always been that Vin Diesel, as a producer on the series, he insists that Dominic Toretto is always invincible, like completely, unquestionably invincible. And I would also say this. Now, I have not heard any rumors of this. This is just me baselessly speculating, okay? Understand that. But why do you put John Cena in a movie like this? John Cena is not the world's greatest thespian. I am a growing fan of John Cena as an actor, but let's be honest, he's not like a great thespian yet. He may become that. You put him in there because he is like one of the, like him and Dwayne The Rock Johnson are the physically most intimidating people in movies. Never in Fast 9 do you have John Cena with his arms fully exposed or his shirt off or whatever. And I suspect that the reason they don't ever show John Cena like fully hulked out, because listen, think what you want about John Cena. That dude is a physical beast, like capital B beast. And it's extremely camera photogenic. So if you're not going to show that physique off, like they do in all the other movies, like even Captain America does, Thor does, whatever, and John Cena's got a way better physique than Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans or any of those guys. He's like a monster. I think the only reason that they didn't show any of those shots, but Dominic has lots of scenes where he's wearing shirtless or sleeveless shirts and stuff like that. I think Vin Diesel didn't want another guy upstaging him in a Fast and the Furious movie, even just physically through appearance. I think that always bugged him, that The Rock always overshadowed him in the movies in that way. And again, I may be totally wrong. Okay. I may be absolutely 1,000% totally wrong. But when I watch this and you realize that John Cena's greatest assets is his physicality, and you don't show off that physicality but Dom constantly is without sleeves. I cannot help but wonder if that was Vin Diesel saying nobody should be able to physically upstage me. And I don't know if that's true. I hope I'm wrong about that, but it does seem, whatever. All right, let's move on here. Next up, Ryan Lohner writes, the Queen of Kotway discussion brought up putting the real people next to the actors who played them. And you can't leave out the all-time most powerful case of that in Schindler's List. I'll be honest with you. First of all, Schindler's List is one of the all-time greats, but it's all, as said many times in the show, it's one of those movies that I don't think I can ever watch again. Like one of the greats, I don't know that I can ever watch it again because it just, it's really strong. It's really, really strong. There's like Detroit was like that as well. The one with John Boyega and Anthony Mackie. Like that's another one. I love Detroit. That was awesome, but I don't think I can watch it again. And so I don't remember the credits for Schindler's List. I don't remember the credits for Schindler's List. So I will take your word on that though, Ryan. I'll take your word for it. All right, next up. Chris writes, hey, John, love all you do. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I've given this a lot of thought recently, and even though The Rise of Skywalker wasn't great, for me anyways, I do feel like the scene when Kylo is redeemed would have been better with Anakin's ghost instead of Han's memory. Thoughts? I completely disagree. Now, first of all, it's, you know, I hated that movie. Unfortunately, I hated The Rise of Skywalker, but the scene where, you know, they're setting up Kylo Ren's redemption, and of course he is visited by whether it's a memory or a ghost or whatever of Han Solo, and he has that discussion with him. I've heard some people mention that maybe it would have been better if they had him talking to Anakin, but to me that would make zero sense. He's never even met Anakin Skywalker. I mean, yes, he talked to his dead grandfather's helmet. Grandfather, show me the way. Empty plastic melty helmet. Yeah, so he's never met him. The one he actually has a relationship with is Han. That's his dad, who he's known and grown with and actually confronted him. And ultimately he betrayed by murdering him on an inexplicably safety handrail-less bridge over a very, very deep pit. They can build a battle station out of a planet, but they can't put in safety handrails. That's just going too far. Anyway, so yeah, to me, it would have made absolutely zero sense why that would have been Anakin, who Kylo has never had a legitimate discussion with, or ever met face-to-face, or ever knew, versus his actual father. That seemed to make more sense to me. So I'm not saying your idea is dumb, not at all, because there are other people who feel that way too. I'm just saying my personal point of view on that is, if it's going to be anybody, it should probably be Han. So I'll go with that one. All right. Thanks for writing that in, Chris. Next up. Indiana Jones Sucks writes, Indy survives a nuclear blast by climbing into a refrigerator. Indy survives hundreds of miles underwater clinging to a Nazi submarine. Yeah, you're incorrect about that. If you're going to bring up those as examples, make sure you quote them properly because that's incorrect. We'll get to that in a second. Indy jumps out of a plane thousands of feet in the air with only an inflatable raft. Actually, technically it was hundreds of feet in the air, but whatever. But fast movies are unbelievable. Oh, dude. I mean, come on. Unless you're stupid. And I'm not saying you're stupid. Let me be clear. But you have to recognize the differences. First of all, let's talk about the Indy survives hundreds of miles underwater. Dude, go back and watch the movie. Indy did not survive hundreds of miles underwater. The crew on the other boat sees him, they cheer him on, and he finds a way to get into the submarine. Okay, so he did not survive hundreds of miles underwater. So there's that. The scene in the second movie, in Temple of Doom, where they have to go out of the plane in an inflatable raft and they land on the side of the mountain. That is like Fast and the Furious 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Ridiculous, but it keeps one little toe in the realm of possibility. Theoretically, could that happen with an inflatable raft with enough coverage air surface for resistance to slow the descent, and then if you hit a surface that's already on a good enough angle, could theoretically even a 1 in a million chance that work? 1 in a million chance? Sure, I guess. And That's why I'm saying, like, that's like a lot like Fast and Furious 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The one, though, Harrison Ford getting into a fridge to survive a nuclear blast. Oh, that was just ridiculous. And that's the reason why they changed the saying from jump the shark, which is an old reference to a Happy Days episode where it was kind of where the Fonz literally water skis and jumps over a shark, as when that show went to crap. And that became known amongst the industry as jumping the shark. When something jumps the shark, that's when it kind of went to crap. But the term jump the shark kind of got replaced in our modern pop culture references as nuke the fridge. You know, that's when it nuked the fridge, because that was utterly preposterous. That was utterly preposterous. The one with the nuke in the fridge. And by the way, Ifran Dagman sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Ifran. Appreciate that, man, very much. And thanks for being here. That was utterly ridiculous. Now, that was one moment in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now take Fast 9, or imagine an entire movie, 2 hours plus, of nuke the fridge, nuke the fridge, nuke the fridge, like back to back nuke the fridges every 2 minutes until the ending. That's Fast 9. That's Fast 9. See, the other Fast and Furiouses are like the raft out of the plane. Highly unlikely, completely ridiculous, but at least with a little toe in the realm of plausibility that you could at least buy into it and suspend disbelief. The nuking of the fridge is not one of those. The nuking of the fridge is just ridiculous. And that, but at least that was only one. Fast 9 is nuke the fridge, 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 all the way to the end. There's nothing in Fast 9 that even remotely keeps one teeny toe in the realm of plausibility like they did in Fast 4, 5, 6, 7, and even to a degree 8. So you're right about them nuking the fridge, but Fast and the Furious is 2.5 hours of nuking the fridge. It's just 2.5 hours of it. I think when they get around to Fast 10, I think they're going to reel it in a little bit. And I think that's going to be great. I think that's going to be great. And I want to bring up some specific things, but I'm sure a bunch of you haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't want to spoil anything. But even though, you know what? I'm going to spoil one thing. Okay? How stupid is it that the main MacGuffin of this movie is this device that can hack and take over all weapons systems across the world? But literally it was a system that was designed over 10 years ago. Really? So like technology and security protocol, nothing advanced in the last 10 years? Anyway, not going to go there. I just get Fast and the Furiously mad when I think about how bad Fast 9 is. Anyway, there's that. Okay, let's move on now. Let's see. Alex Detman writes, for me, John, easily my number 1 or number 2 favorite film of all time is Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Really? Oh, that's interesting. That was okay. Starring Andy Garcia as a leader of misfits ex-criminals trying to stay legitimate when the great Christopher Walken pulls them into the last job two of two. When the job goes wrong, the cast is amazing with Christopher Lloyd. It feels like early Tarantino, and honestly, some of the best dialogue and characters as you feel for them in the face of very impossible tasks. So check it out if you haven't. I believe William Forsythe is actually in that too. Here's why I was thinking about that movie recently, and I can't remember the director's name. Folder or Flotterer or something like that is the director. Anyway, he was also the director of that MMA show that just finished its run a couple of years ago, Kingdom, with Frank Grillo. He was like one of the directors of that show, and he's directing a poker-based movie starring my favorite actor, Russell Crowe. So that's why I was thinking about him recently. I went back to that one. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not the biggest fan of Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. I thought it's been a long time. That's like a mid-90s movie. So it's been a long time since I've seen it. I never went back and watched it again, but I remember thinking it was okay. Incredible cast. But I personally remember thinking it was okay. But the important thing, Alex, is you loved it that much, and that's great. So thanks for sharing your love for it, man. All right, next up. Sam Weiser Gamgee writes, guys, I love Battlestar Galactica, and I enjoyed your discourse we talked about the other day. I enjoyed your discourse of its merits. I have one other reason for its success. Ronald Moore. As a writer/creator, his name is on the project. I'll watch it. Stargate The Next Generation, Stargate DS9, Galactica, Outlander, and now For All Mankind. And by the way, Dragon 10 sends in a super chat badge and live chat. Thank you, Dragon 10. Yeah, Ronald D. Moore, I mean, his name wasn't all that big prior to Battlestar Galactica. He had credits. He had some credibility. But Ronald D. Moore was not a household name prior to Battlestar Galactica. And Battlestar Galactica is my all-time number one favorite. I think it's the greatest television show of all time. And then I heard he was doing this other one, For All Mankind. And honestly, it didn't look like it appealed to me. And then my brother-in-law, Ray, got me watching. It's like, oh my God, this show is amazing. And he really is. He's really a force, dude. He is totally a force. Good to point that out, Sam. All right, JR69 writes, I tipped in like $20. Thank you, JR. Writes, I've decided that Loki and Baron Zemo would make a hell of a nightclub act. When she sings, come home. Is that what it was? When she sings, come home. Hey, listen, you put up a Baron Zemo and Loki show as a buddy cop movie, I'm down with it. I'll watch that all day, JR. I will watch that all day. All right, even though I didn't like the last episode of Loki, but I'm sure the next one's going to be awesome. All right, next up. Min Tran writes, at the moment, only Jonathan Kent is in the comics. With the relative success of Superman and Lois, do you see DC adding Jordan Kent to the comics? Yeah, honestly, I'm going to be completely straight with you. I don't care. I don't think it's important. I don't think it's relevant. I honestly, I don't keep up. When I do read comics these days, it's usually the smaller titles, or it's the collected storylines. Like when a really great storyline is done, people tell me about it. I'll get the collected storyline. I'll read it. I really don't keep up with Superman the last couple of years, nor do I keep up with like Batman the last couple of years. So I really don't know. And it's irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. I really care far more about what's happening on the screen. So yeah, on the show, they're twin brothers, even though they have zero resemblance, like zero. I don't need them to be identical twins, but like even me and my siblings, if you stand us side by side, you are going to figure out we are siblings. And they couldn't have found two differently. And I like both the guys playing Superman's sons. I do. I like both of them. I think they're good. I just thought maybe they could have got two kids that maybe even remotely looked like they had the slightest family resemblance. I don't know. It is what it is, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for that, Min. Next up, Min also writes, who's the worst parents in Lucifer? God of all creation or goddess of all creation? Well, I actually thought God was a good parent. Like when you actually follow along with the story, I thought he was a perfectly good parent, one that maybe made some mistakes. However, speaking of Battlestar Galactica, of course, one of the Battlestar Galactica stars is also in Lucifer as Lucifer's mother. She was a terrible parent. So I'm going to say that is the one who's the terrible parent. All right. The Magic Butt writes, I'd really like to watch Loki, but I haven't yet seen WandaVision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I'd also like to see. Would watching Loki first spoil anything in either of those first two MCU shows? I'd like to watch Loki first. I honestly, listen, I don't know what's coming in episodes 4, 5, and 6. There are 3 episodes left. And maybe some of you guys in the live chat will disagree, but I think that I have seen nothing in the first 3 episodes of Loki that spoil or give away or ruin anything about WandaVision or Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I haven't seen anything in there, you know. And Mark Valbla in the live chat is pointing out, wasn't Loki supposed to come out first anyway? I'm not sure if it was supposed to come out first. I'm not sure that that's true. Maybe it is, but I don't remember it was supposed to come out first. Either way, I haven't seen anything in Loki that puts you at risk of being spoiled for the other shows if you want to start with Loki. So I think you're good. Watch the first 3 episodes, get caught up, and then you can watch the final 3 episodes along with everybody, and then go back and watch WandaVision and Falcon the Winter Soldier, and I think you should be good. All right, next up. An anonymous viewer writes, based on your experience, I'm probably going to wait until things get back to normal till I go to Disneyland. I'm not going to get into the Disneyland thing again. I've been to Disneyland since I was a kid with our grandma. Our grandma has taken us every year, so it holds a special place in my heart. Hey, listen, my experience at Disneyland should not in any way, shape, or form dilute or distort or darken whatever treasured place Disneyland and your trips to Disneyland hold for you. I had a miserable experience at Disneyland, and I will personally never be back. However, I'm not one of these guys who goes, I'm organizing a boycott of Disneyland. Anybody who watches the John Campea Show, none of us go to Disneyland anymore. No. I had a bad experience. I, for myself, am choosing not to go back to Disneyland. I don't want that in any way to, again, distort or darken anybody else's upcoming experiences or past experience at Disneyland. So, dude, you do you. And if you have a good time, then you have a good time. I'll just sit here and be jealous that you had a good time because I didn't. But yeah, my experience is mine. Your experiences will be yours. So don't be daunted by that. Don't be daunted by that. All right, next up. Let's see here. Timbula the Spider Monkey writes, after your comment on the different Joker actors not fitting in each other's movies, I'm now obsessed with the idea of the late 1970s, early 1980s Jack Nicholson in Phoenix's Joker movie. That would work. Essentially Jack Torrance as the Joker. I see, that's the thing. I don't think that would have worked. At least, let me rephrase. I don't think it would have worked nearly as well. Right? Again, when you look at, I know a lot of people don't appreciate Jared Leto's Joker. I do. I'll just be straight up. I do. I like that. I mean, not as much as Jack's or Heath's or Joaquin's, but I like Jared Leto's Joker. I thought there should have been more of that Joker in the first Suicide Squad movie. That notwithstanding, let's just look at the three pretty much universally beloved Jokers, right? Jack, Heath, Joaquin. They're each great Jokers. But Jack wouldn't have been a good fit for the Joker movie that Joaquin did. And frankly, Heath wouldn't have been the right guy to play the Joker in Michael Keaton's Batman. Like, that's why whenever people ask me, and thank you, WOW, WOW in the live chat, lest we forget Cesar Romero, who even put the weight and makeup over his mustache, a forerunner of the Henry Cavill mustache gate. Anyway, that's why when people ask me, hey, John, who do you think should play Dr. Doom? I always say, look, it's impossible to pitch a guess as to who should play Dr. Doom because we don't know how Dr. Doom is going to be portrayed in the MCU once they get around to him. Look at the Jokers. 3 beloved Jokers, but each one of those actors would have been totally wrong for the other Joker roles, even though they're all Joker. And that's why I'm always just like, hey, as long as the filmmakers get talented actors, I'll just trust them that they're getting somebody for the right fit. All I want to know is feel confident that they're getting talented actors. As long as they do that, I'm good. And by the way, Duroc Media sends in like a $10 super chat badge in the live chat there. Thank you, Duroc. I appreciate that very much, man. All right. Next up, thanks for writing that in, Timbula. Although, listen, I'm not going to lie. If you take it early 1970s, early 1980s Jack and redo that movie with him, of course I'd be incredibly curious to see that. All right, next up. Min Tran writes, between Malcolm in season 1 of Lucifer, the goddess of creation, Lucifer's mother, Marcus Pierce, or Kane, played by Tom Welling from Smallville, Kinley, and Michael, which big bad did you enjoy watching the most? My favorite villain in Lucifer has been Kane, has been Tom Welling, Clark from Smallville. You don't see him in a lot these days, and that's why it was partially surprising, but also very pleasantly surprising to see him pop up when he did in Lucifer. And man, I tell you what, Tom Welling looks good. He looks good. I mean, he was always a good-looking kid, but I'm actually flabbergasted that he doesn't get more stuff. I don't know, maybe he just doesn't want more stuff, but when you watch him in Lucifer, he's gone from a good-looking kid. Not all young Hollywood actors turn into good-looking men or women, but Tom Welling went from a good-looking kid to a good-looking movie star, jawline, big dude, leading man look, and I thought he was great in the series. I thought he was great as Kane. So yeah, that's for me is easy. My favorite foil to this point has been Kane. All right, next up. Amin Tran also writes, for Wonder Woman 3, I totally see a Greek god give Barbara with the cheetah power again. To give Barbara with the cheetah power again. True, the first said that Ares killed all the gods. The movie can easily say he spared a god, like one of his siblings for whatever reason, and made it seem that they're dead. And that was the only one. Yeah, look, I think what is clear is that we are going to see Cheetah again for Wonder Woman 3. And hopefully Wonder Woman 3 will be more like the first Wonder Woman and less like Wonder Woman 84. I really enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. Loved it. Wonder Woman 84 lost its way. Bad day at the office, whatever, brush it off, move on. The first one was great. Hopefully the third one will be great like that. And yeah, I mean, there's no doubt we're going to get Cheetah again. They've already kind of revealed that they really want to do that. So unless something major changes, that changes their mind, we can expect that Patty Jenkins will bring her back. And again, you're right. Just because they said in one that all the gods were killed, there's 1,000 different ways you can say there are still 15 gods out there. I mean, how many times have they killed Loki? And yet here he is. He's still back. So yes, they can say in one movie, oh, they killed all the gods. Oh, turns out he didn't. There are actually like 35 more or like that. So yes, I like your theory there. And yeah, I think we're definitely going to get Cheetah back. All right, next up. We got Shane Roxas who writes, 1 of 5, buckle in. Where'd we go? Okay, hold on a second. I got to ban a moron in my live chat. There we go. Okay. Shane Roxas writes, hey, John, I hope all is well. The other day, a viewer wrote in and said they believed Henry Cavill's Superman didn't resonate with audiences because we didn't see him doing heroic things. This has and continues to absolutely baffle me. In Man of Steel, he manages to save the entire damn planet on his second or third day of work. The whole damn planet. But he snaps Zod's neck to save an innocent family from a horrific death, so I guess he's not heroic enough. In Batman vs. Superman, there is literally a montage of him saving random people in harm's way, which is later followed by him saving Lex Luthor, the man who just kidnapped his effing mother, from a punch from Doomsday, which is then followed by him sacrificing his life to again save the whole damn planet. I can understand people's gripes with Snyder's take to a degree, but at some point, in my opinion, I have to draw the line. What more can people expect? Do they literally want him to save kittens from a tree? Not liking the overall story is one thing, but my God, if Henry Superman isn't as heroic as they come, then I just don't know what is. Thank you and stay filthy, my friend. Well, Shane, you know, this is a battle, baby. I've been fighting for years now, ever since I first saw Man of Steel. This is a battle I've been fighting ever since Man of Steel came out. And by the way, our friend My Comic Planet sends in a super chat badge. I'd like a $20 super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, My Comic Planet. Appreciate that, man, very much. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I'll never understand. Look, I get it. I have no problems when people say to me, you know, it didn't work for me. It just didn't click for me. I watched it. I didn't have the same experience you did, John. It wasn't an enjoyable film to me. No problem. I take no issue with that. That's perfectly fine. All film is subjective. I don't like the original Blade Runner. Everybody likes the original Blade Runner, except me, apparently. So I get it. It's all subjective. Nothing wrong with that. But I do take issue when I hear people like, oh, you know, a lot of people would have died in that. He saved the entire planet. He saved all of humanity. And by the way, when he had to break Zod's neck, he had zero choice because he wasn't just saving that family. All right. Zod had just used a bunch of dialogue to communicate to Clark that, okay, the Kryptonian DNA stuff is gone now. My whole mission of trying to reestablish Krypton is now dead. My world, my planet, my whole reason for existing is now gone. So guess what, Clark? Here's my new reason for being. The only reason, this is what he said to Superman. My only reason for existing now is to kill every single human being. Every single man, woman, and child on this planet, I'm going to kill them all. And I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop till you're dead or till I'm dead or whatever. But all these humans, I'm going to kill them all. They're all dead. Clark was told that by a guy who was genetically bred from birth to be a soldier, who had been a military commander, who was a warrior. Clark had been Superman for 3 days, or a day, or 48 hours, depending on which timeline you believe, right? There is no prison he could put him in. There is nothing he could do. Well, John, he could have taken him to space. No. Listen, when you're the better fighter, the fight's going to happen wherever you want the fight to happen. What's Clark supposed to do? Fly into space, say, hey, come on, General Zod. Let's see how tough you are. Come fight me out here. And General Zod goes, no, I'm just going to go kill 1 million people over here, Kal-El, but you have some fun floating up there in space. Mwah. And goes down and slaughters 1 million people. But apparently there are some comic book movie fans that would have rather seen General Zod murder 1 million people than Superman, stop him and a building falls down. That was worse. Right? When Superman killed Zod, and by the way, for all those comic book illiterate people, Superman has killed in the comics many times. He has killed in the other iterations of the movies. Superman kills. He shouldn't, for the most part, under normal circumstances. But he literally had an opportunity, had the upper hand on Zod, and it was either kill him or millions, maybe billions of human beings would be slaughtered. And people complain that he killed Zod. It's that stuff I'll never get. Like, hey, the pacing of the movie didn't work for me. I didn't believe in the characters the way they did that. The story structure never flowed. That's all legitimate. And if the movie didn't work for you, the movie didn't work for you. But those discussions are always, can you tell I get heated when I think about it? Because I've been having these same debates for years. But anyway, whatever. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. And that's perfectly cool. There are people who don't like Star Wars, and that's perfectly cool too. But yeah, sometimes the reasoning people give drives me a little bit nuts. All right. Thanks for writing that in, Shane. Appreciate it, man. All right, next up. Rick Hunter 100 writes, regarding the Flash set photos on your show the other day, because the other day we talked about we saw Supergirl, we saw Ezra Miller, we saw Michael Keaton as Batman. My question is, was that really Supergirl, or could she be the Keaton-verse version of Superman? After all, nothing says that the last Kryptonian has to be male in an alternate universe. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Listen, you use the word could there. My question is, was that really Supergirl, or could she be the Keaton-verse version of Superman? Listen, whenever you use the word could in a question, the answer 99.99% of the time is always yes, it could. It theoretically could. There's a possibility that this Supergirl that we've seen in the pictures is actually just that universe's version of Superman. Maybe. There's also the possibility that she is Superman's daughter, which, me and Rob talked about the other day. The option that I hope it is, of course, that I hope it is, and you guys have heard me talk about this before, is that before Man of Steel came out, just before Man of Steel came out, they released a prequel one-shot issue prequel Man of Steel comic. And it went back millennia to when the Kryptonian ship that Clark finds on Earth buried in the ice. Because remember, he's there, he finds the ship buried in the ice. That's where he meets Jor-El and all that kind of stuff, right? So in that ship, Clark goes in and he finds 2 pods in the ship. In one pod is a skeletal remains of one Kryptonian. But then he looks over and there's a second pod, but it's open and it's empty. Well, in the prequel comic, we see that the person who was in that pod was Supergirl. It was Supergirl. And why am I forgetting her name? Kara. It was Kara was in that pod. And in the prequel comic, that ship crashes on Earth thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And the last thing we see in it is her getting out of the ship and walking off into the distance. And that's the last we see of it. That's the last we see of her. I hope, I don't know that it is, but I hope that this Supergirl is going to be that character. Maybe she got the Captain America treatment that after walking away from the ship, she collapsed in the cold and was frozen in ice and she's only woken up recently. I don't know, maybe. By the way, Donaldo Martinez sends in a super chat badge and live chat. Thank you, Donaldo. That's a possibility. I'm just saying I hope it's that because I would love for them to follow that thread that has been dangling out there for like 8 years now. I really hope it is. But there's a million different possibilities, Rick Hunter. There's a million different possibilities, and that is one of them. Maybe she's just that reality's version of Superman. It's possible. All right, Smokey McPot writes, well, John, after episode 3, I'm 99% sure Loki has the time stone in his pocket. How else could he stop the building from crushing them? Over under 50% that he uses it at the beginning of episode 4. You know what, Smokey? I went back and watched that episode again. Because during the Loki episode 3 open spoiler discussion, somebody said that when Loki stopped the building from falling and went back up, you could see all the debris and everything moving in reverse as well. And I went back and watched it again, and I didn't see that. It literally looks like Loki just used very powerful telekinesis to stop the building and push it up. And as the building got pushed up, yes, the smoke swayed a different way, but it didn't at all, at least to me, and maybe I misinterpreted it, but at least to me, when that thing reversed direction, it didn't look like time was being reversed. It looked like he stopped it. He stopped it in its tracks and put it back. And remember, Loki has never touched the time stone before. He wouldn't even know how to use it. But it is absolutely a theoretical possibility. It's absolutely a theoretical possibility that he does have the time stone, and that's what happened there. But it really looked to me like he just straight up used his telekinesis, boom, froze the building and pushed it all the way back up. That's what it looked like to me. So we'll see, Smokey. We'll see. Again, that was just my perception of it. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out in upcoming episodes. All right. Concessions before credit writes. Rumors going around that John Boyega, oh yeah, this situation, that John Boyega just left a production halfway through shooting because he didn't like the script, only for his publicist to later claim it was a family emergency that he never informed the production of. Now, I'm sorry, but if he did just leave this film because he didn't like the script, screw him. Those crew members had jobs. You committed. You ain't gonna Disney Plus me. I remember when he said that. That was not a highlight of John Boyega's career when he said that. Who does this guy think he is? Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, let me see if I can pull something up on this. I'm not sure I can here. So, John Boyega leaves movie. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this or not. So he was doing a movie called Rebel Ridge. Okay. He was doing a movie called Rebel Ridge. And I'll see if I can pull this up here. So in Rebel Ridge, they were already shooting this movie. And as the story goes, and listen, I wasn't there. Okay. Let's be clear. I wasn't there. You weren't there. Who knows what really happened? But after they had already started production, they were well into production. Without telling anybody, John Boyega just disappeared. And according to the story, they didn't even know he left until they didn't know where he was, and they sent a production assistant to his hotel room who got there just to find that he had checked out and left. Now, there have been a lot of whispers and rumors going around that he was being, and let's be honest, John Boyega is a fantastic actor. I was talking about him a little bit earlier in Detroit. He's fantastic. But John Boyega has also been seen exhibiting a lot of very diva-ish behavior over the past couple of years, like extremely diva-ish behavior. Like, you ain't gonna Disney Plus me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're Daniel Day-Lewis. You're better than everybody. Yeah. You're too good. You're too good for Disney Plus. Sorry about that, Mr. Boyega. Like, he has acted very diva-ish in the last couple of years. That said, the official line that is coming out of the John Boyega camp is that it was a family emergency. And listen, maybe it is. I think people are too quick to not believe it. Now, I'm not saying he's telling the truth. I'm not saying he's telling the truth. I'm not saying he's not telling the truth. I'm just saying I don't think we should be completely quick just to believe that he's being a diva and he just walked out because he didn't like the script. Maybe it legitimately is because he had a major family emergency. But apparently one of the unfortunate things here is that the entire production is now shut down. Apparently they tried to find somebody else to fill the role really quickly, and when they weren't able to do that, they just shut the whole production down. And you're right. Now there's 100, 200, 500 people now out of a job that they thought they were going to have for the next couple of months because John Boyega left. And again, maybe it was for legitimate reasons, but maybe it wasn't. If it was, then I don't know. It's like, can't you go home for a couple of weeks and then come back and let the producers know, hey guys, listen, I just had X family emergency. I need to go and be with my family right now. Okay. We will shut things, either A, we will shut things down for a couple weeks, or B, we'll do what they're doing on Indiana Jones right now because Harrison Ford got injured. So what are they doing? They're shooting all the scenes that don't need him in the scenes right now. So if Boyega had come to them and said, listen, guys, I'm going to need a couple of days or a couple of weeks to go home and manage a family emergency. And I need a couple of weeks. Then the producers could have planned around that. And they said, okay, you go, family comes first, you go take care of it, and then come back and we'll work on other things while you're gone. And apparently he didn't do that. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what to make of the whole thing. It's not a good look on Boyega, but again, I don't think we should rush to the conclusion that he was just being a diva. Maybe it is legitimately a family emergency. I will say this, though. My grandfather, who I am named after, my real name is Giovanni. My grandfather, who I am named after, who brought my family over from Italy, brought my teenage dad, all of his siblings, my grandmother, everybody, brought the whole clan over from Italy, passed away this past year. And I was not able to go home for the funeral because of COVID. If I had been able to go home, I would have shut down the John Campea Show for a few days, maybe a week, maybe more. I would have gone home. I would have grieved with my family. And one of the fucking most awful things about the pandemic was because of all the travel restrictions, I wasn't able to go home for my grandfather's fucking funeral. I'm a little upset about that. In case you can't tell, it's still a bruise for me. But I would have gone and come back. I think that would have constituted a family emergency. So why can't John Boyega, again, look, there's so much we don't know. For all we know, both of his parents have just been diagnosed with a terrible disease and they're going to require him to be at home for the next 6 months. And maybe that's the case. I just don't think we should jump to conclusions one way or the other. Because again, I think if we jump on the conclusion that he's just being a diva, but we find out in a couple of months that both of his parents were diagnosed with something awful and they needed him home for a few months, we're all going to feel pretty damn stupid. And so let's see how that goes. But yeah, but I agree. It's not a great look. Anyway, next up, BK Dan writes, where are we at here? BK Dan writes, John, did you guys see that over in the UK that the government there is trying to regulate how the British are being portrayed on Disney Plus? That's a bit of a misrepresentation. That's not exactly what's going on there. Not from the UK myself, just watching closely because I don't want Big Brother interfering. How do you guys feel about that? Okay, so look, just to be clear, in Canada, all right, in Canada, there are rules and regulations if you're going to be a Canadian network. If you want to take advantage of the Canadian market and be a Canadian network and take advantage of the Canadian airways, there are certain rules you have to adhere to, right? There are certain rules you have to adhere to. Certain standards, certain whatever. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing draconic or anything like that, but whatever. England and the UK have that same thing. Like the BBC and others, they have certain rules that they have to follow. Certain rules, certain guidelines. Now, look, I'm not going to pretend to be super well read on this issue, but I will just tell you what my initial thoughts are on it. It seems to me that all the British government is saying, or at least some people in the British government are saying is, look, if you're Netflix or Amazon and you're making money, you're doing business in the UK and you're making money as a broadcaster. But John, it's streaming. I know, they're still treated as a broadcaster. As a broadcaster, you are making money off the UK population. You are making money in our country and you're generating revenue in our territory. Then it is fundamentally unfair that our networks, like the BBC and other British networks, have to adhere to a certain set of rules, but you don't. That is fundamentally, some people in the UK government will say, that is fundamentally unfair to our people and to our networks, and it creates an unlevel playing field. You're both taking advantage of the British people, so why does one have to follow a set of guidelines and you don't? And honestly, now look, it just seems to me, and again, I'm not pretending that I'm super well read on the issue. Maybe if I study it for a few hours more, maybe I'll come to a different thought or a different conclusion myself. But it doesn't seem drastically outrageous. Honestly, I see a lot of people getting up there. Everybody loves being outraged, right? I see a lot of people online getting out, oh, UK is trying to control it. It honestly just looks like they're trying to level the playing field that their own networks and native broadcasters have to follow, and that's not putting them behind the eight ball. So I honestly don't know that I have a big problem with it. As long as they're not giving their own networks an unfair advantage over companies like Netflix and Amazon, all they're trying to do is keep the playing field level, then I don't have a big problem with it. Again, I'm open to changing my mind on that, though, as I see more information. But right now, unfortunately, online, I'm not seeing a lot of actual information. I'm just seeing a lot of ranting and raging without actual information. I'm seeing a lot of reaction, but I'm not seeing a lot of information. Now, the one I read was from Deadline, and they were pretty good at just spewing out the actual facts and the information on it. And as I read it, I was like, well, this doesn't seem unreasonable. At least the way I'm reading it. But again, I didn't spend a ton of time. My mind can be changed. My mind can be changed. All right, next up. Let's see here. Ian McAllister writes, hey, John, have you heard anything about the Ology book series? Oh, that's going back a while. About the Ology book series, film adaptation getting any more movement. Deadline last reported in early 2018, Paramount had a writer's room fronted by Akiva Goldsman with the likes of Jeff Pinker, Michael Carbone, and others, and there is a 2 of 2. But ever since, there has been silence. Is this franchise in development hell? If you aren't so sure what I'm talking about, I'm talking about the Ology series that contains faux fiction encyclopedias like Dragonology, Eptomology, Vampirology, Monsterology. There's a whole bunch of other things. And these books are kind of written, as I understand them, kind of like as if they were de facto school textbooks about those subjects, right? Back in 2017, Akiva Goldsmith, who was also the guy who was kind of coordinating the Transformers writers room a couple of years ago, from which we got things like, the Transformers series that's been on Netflix that a lot of people seem to like, the upcoming Transformers that we have coming, all that kind of stuff. They brought him on to kind of shepherd a number of different franchises. including the Rainbow Six franchise. Now, that was kind of the main one that they talked about, was that Akiva Goldsman is going to be kind of overseeing the Rainbow Six thing. But that no longer seems to be at Paramount, and it seems to be now under Netflix, and I don't think he's attached to that at all. I mean, I could be wrong, but it doesn't look like he's attached to that at all now. And I have not heard a single thing about this Ology series ever since. So I have no other information. So right now, my assumption, which could be completely wrong, but my assumption right now is that went tits up. Is that the project's dead. Maybe not. But my assumption right now, until I hear otherwise, is that the project is dead. We'll find out if it's still got some life left in it, but I haven't heard anything new about it in years. All right. Tyler Pfeiffer writes, have you had the opportunity to watch Sweet Tooth on Netflix? One of the very best shows I've seen in a while. There's a fight scene at Mountain Lodge that is breathtaking. I watched episode 1 of Sweet Tooth, and I didn't think it was all that good. Again, a lot of people are liking it. It just didn't work for me. That's all. It just, you know what? I watched it, didn't find it all that compelling. So I got on Twitter after I watched the first episode, and I asked people on Twitter, I said, look, I'm watching Sweet Tooth, and I didn't like the first episode. If I didn't like the first episode, do you think there's a chance I will warm up to it if I watch upcoming episodes? Most of the people who responded to me said, yeah, I think if you like the first episode, you'll really like the rest. But if you didn't like the first episode, it's probably not for you. But I did go back in. I watched the next episode, 1 or 2 episodes. I saw that Mountain Lodge episode where all the guys come for him when they have the other families in the lodge. It just wasn't for me. And I tapped out. I tapped out after 2 or 3 episodes. And, you know, here's the thing. It is not your job or my job as an audience member to watch 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 episodes of a show and give it a chance. That's not our responsibility. It is the show's responsibility to get us on board with it. And for many people, Sweet Tooth won a lot of people over. I hear a lot of people really like Sweet Tooth, and that's great. But yeah, it just didn't work for me. So I kind of tapped out on it after a couple of episodes myself. All right, next up. Tyson Trujillo writes, what's up, John and Rob? Obviously, Rob's not here right now. My question is, what 90s or 80s movie would you want to see get remade? Mine is The Neverending Story. I think with the special effects we have nowadays would make Avatar pretty, and I just loved that movie. Keeping on. All right, thanks for writing that in, man. I honestly don't know if A Neverending Story could work today, because yes, it would definitely benefit from updated visual effects. I just don't know that the story is as relevant today, but maybe it would be, whatever. I mean, give me Falkor all day, every day. Give me more Falkor. But I've always said this. I'm going to let me throw it open to you guys in the live chat. Let me see if you know what I'm going to say. If there was one movie from the 80s and the 90s that I would desperately want remade, I have mentioned this before several times. Let me see in the live chat. If any of you guys know what movie I'm going to say, go ahead and write it in, and you get respect points. Very, very valuable respect points. I don't see anybody putting anything in there yet. Dan is saying Rocket Man. It is not Rocket Man. Rocket Man is not it. I'm seeing Cool Runnings. Nope. Starship Troopers. Nope. But that would be a fun one. That would be a fun one to do. Last Starfighter. Oh, okay. That's not the one, but that would be my number 2. Last Starfighter would be my number 2. Yeah, so that one's a really good guess. Lone Wolf Studios. Last Starfighter is a great one. Other people are saying that as well. Jonathan Barr saying Airwolf. That was never a movie, though. Not Highlander. Shogun was a mini-series, not a movie, blah, blah. All right, I'm not seeing anybody get Mystery Men. Mystery Men I want a sequel to, not a reboot. I want a reboot. Well, somebody got close. Suthius got close, but not quite. Suthius said Megadeth. And it's not Megadeth. It's not RoboCop. It's not Flight of the Navigator. It's not Goonies. It's not Ferris Bueller's. You guys will remember when I say it. Megaforce. Life is like a wheel. It all comes around. Megaforce. We were just talking about Blade Runner. Megaforce came out in theaters on the exact same day that Blade Runner came out in theaters. Now, for those of you who don't know, Megaforce was basically a poor man's G.I. Joe. It was the international community all contributed some of their best soldiers and high-tech weaponry to form this elite international anti-terrorist force, led by a character named Ace. Of course his name was Ace. And I loved it. Now, Robert My Burnett hates that movie. He hates Megaforce. I love Megaforce for all of its cheesiness, and I've always thought, man, if I could have one. Now, number 2 would be The Last Starfighter. I have always wanted The Last Starfighter to be remade badly, but my number 1 for most of my life has been Megaforce. So I will stick. And Rocket Man is saying, I love Megaforce. Damn right you love Megaforce. And other people are saying some other ones, like they'd like to see Beastmaster, says John Nelson. Yeah, ones like that too. Time Bandits, Francisco Marcus is saying. And Angel saying, Ace Hunter. Of course his name was Ace Hunter. All right, thanks for writing that in, Tyson. All right, next up. Enja writes, Loki in Avengers beat Captain America. Could at least keep up initially with Thor. Yep. Tanked Tony's blaster to the chest. Probably meant took Tony's blaster to the chest and shredded Winter Soldier's arm, and he shrugged off bullets to the face. Avengers opening. In Loki's show, he's KO'd by a regular human. Okay. I'm glad you brought this up, because here's the thing. It's not just the Loki show, because I love Loki. He's probably in my top 3 or 4 favorite characters in the MCU. My number 1 favorite character is, of course, the real Captain America, Steve Rogers. He's right up there. Others in my top 5, I won't go through an entire top 5, but like Shuri is up there. I love the Shuri character. Thor himself is up there. Love him. But right up there in the top 5, maybe even the top 3, is Loki. But I have found in the MCU as a whole, they've always been fairly confusing about how either powerful or weak Loki is. There's always been some confusion about how powerful or weak Loki actually is. They've never really been consistent with that. They really haven't. And it's, the Loki TV show is as guilty as anything, but it's not just been the TV show. The movies themselves have been fairly inconsistent about exactly how powerful is Loki, how much of a threat is Loki, like where is he on the scale of things, right? How is he on the scale of things? And it is confusing because, again, you go back to that original Avengers, he can take bullets, no problem. He went toe-to-toe with Captain America. And while that fight never truly got to finish, hey, at the very least, Loki was ahead in the judges' scorecards. All right? Like maybe that fight didn't get to go to its true conclusion, and who knows how it would have turned out. But at the point where Iron Man showed up, Loki was at least ahead in the judges' scorecards, right? In the Thor movie, he goes toe-to-toe with Thor. He lost, but he went toe-to-toe with Thor. We even see him in the Loki show as the building is falling down, and he's able to use telekinesis to run. He's running around firing green blasts of energy and wiping guys out. So, like on the one hand, and he calls himself a god. He's a god. But then, very confusingly, he'll be portrayed as quite fragile, actually. Very easily subdued. Like, it's, taking out Loki, like almost impossible. Super easy, barely an inconvenience, as the pitch meeting videos would say. Super easy, barely an inconvenience to subdue and take out Loki at times. And then where that really stands out is like episode 3 of this recent one, where like he's fighting a couple of just guards on a train, and they're able to take him, and the guy who goes toe-to-toe with Thor of Asgard, the guy who went toe-to-toe with Captain America, the guy who was the villain where all the Avengers had to team up to try to stop Loki in the first Avengers. A couple of guards on a train. Just throw Mama from the train. All it needed was Danny DeVito there going, throw Mama from the train. Throw Mama Loki from the train. And away he went off the train. So, yeah. They have been, and then in that same episode, he's blasting guys with these energy bursts. It's like, why didn't he do that before? And when an entire building is falling down, he stops the building and is able to lift it back up. But, Mama got thrown from the train. And again, it's not just the Loki series that's been guilty of that. Like, all the MCU has kind of been very unclear. How powerful is this god of mischief? And they've been pretty inconsistent with it. Now, the one thing I will say is this. As I crack open another delicious can of Zevia Cola. Zevia Cola, sponsor me, you sons of bitches. Anyway, if I have a theory, and I'm probably wrong. You guys have probably heard me say this. I have a theory about this latest episode of Loki that when Sylvie fell asleep on the train, remember, she just suddenly wakes up from the table and Loki is, doing his song and dance. When she sings, come home. Remember that? My theory, which could be completely wrong, is that Loki has actually enchanted her. That Loki is actually, she's now in a mind control state. Like, he's got her, and everything that's happened after she woke up off that table isn't actually happening in the real world. And if that's the case, then him getting thrown off the train by a couple of human guards, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Because it's only in her imaginations that he's projecting in there. Again, I can be completely wrong about that. But I have a feeling that's it. That's why she woke up. She's the one who woke up suddenly off the table, not Loki. Loki didn't suddenly come to. It was her. She suddenly came to, and Loki's back in his regular clothes, and he's singing songs, and he's getting drunk off a couple of simple drinks. He's a god of Asgard. Anyway. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where things go. But again, I would like to see the MCU take this, one of my favorite characters that they have, Loki, and give a little bit more clarity about him. Like, obviously, he's got to be formidable because Thanos chose Loki to lead the invasion of Earth. He gave Loki one of the Infinity Stones, for heaven's sakes. He didn't even do that for Corvus Glaive or any of the others of his children, but he gave one of the Infinity Stones to Loki. Clearly, he's got to be formidable, but sometimes he's like a joke. And I really do hope they bring a little bit more clarity to that. I really do hope they give more clarity to that. And maybe in the next 3 episodes of the show, I would love to see it. All right. Now, and by the way, I don't need him to be Superman. Just because I like him doesn't mean I think they should make him the most powerful. Just tell me how powerful he is and then stick with that. Is he powerful? Is he super powerful? Is he Thor level? Is he Black Widow level? I mean, whatever you do, I'm fine with. Just pick one, stick with it, and then I'll be good with that. Okay, that's just me at any rate. All right, next up. We got Tim Tracy who writes, hey, John. So quick recap. My girlfriend and I are rewatching all the Fast and the Furious movies leading up to see F9 this week. Just finished Fast 5. So good. Fast 5 is so good. Can't wait till next week. My quick question is, we found out that there is a Cinemark near us in New York. It's an IMAX theater and roughly 2 hours away. Also, it's not all that near you. If it's too, see, you and I, Tim, have a very different definition of near me. That 2 hours away does not seem like it's near you at any rate. 2 hours away, far I know, but so worth it when it's IMAX. I've never been to a Cinemark before. Do you have them out there? And what have your experiences, if any, been? Look forward to your answer and have a great day, sir. Well, thanks for writing that in, Tim. And I hope you have a great time watching the movie wherever you go. I personally think it's terrible, but that doesn't mean you will, and I hope you have a great time watching it. I have never been to a Cinemark theater that I know of. As far as I'm aware, I have never actually been to a Cinemark theater. Now, I believe they have, and part of that is not because I've avoided Cinemark theaters, not at all. Everywhere I've been in the US, the closest theaters to me, like when I first moved to LA, the ArcLight Theater was right up the street. So I went to that. And then ever since, the closest movie theaters to me have always been AMC theaters. And then I started working for AMC theaters. So I kind of had to go to AMC theaters. But, I've never been to a Cinemark. And a lot of people have been writing in recently about their 4DX technology and that those are great experiences to watch. And everybody has a good time. But I've never been there. Now, I've had people write in and say that they've really enjoyed it. And especially I've had people writing in recently about the 4DX theaters and saying it's really something to try out. And I'll look forward to trying it sometime. Actually, man, if they have a 4DX theater at that Cinemark, instead of going to the IMAX, I would go to a Fast 9 movie in a 4DX. It might really enhance the experience. I can't say that for certain because I've never done it, but it seems like that would be the case. Anyway, either way, Tim, hope you guys have a great time at the movie, and I hope you enjoy it, whichever theater you end up watching it in. All right. Next up, this comes to us from the Wakandan Forever, who writes, I was embarrassed today, John. I watched the Karen trailer. Oh my God. The Karen trailer. Anyway, I watched the Karen trailer. Keep in mind, I am Wakandan. And even I was surprised by this one. BET, is this what it has come to? Even Tyler Perry is rolling his eyes. Let's do better, people. I can't take much more of this. Wakandan, listen, woo. First of all, given recent events, the idea of doing a movie called Karen is a pretty good idea. But honestly, I thought it should have been a comedy about how ridiculous and stupid the Karen is. I thought it should be a comedy. And when I heard they actually did a movie called Karen, I just assumed that it was going to be comedy. They instead decided to make it a horror film. And oh my God, it looks so bad. It looks so bad. Like, I almost couldn't finish watching the damn trailer. 2-minute, 30-second investment. I almost couldn't finish watching the trailer. It's that bad. Now, look. I understand what they were going for. I understand the issues they were trying to, have up there. But that doesn't give you an excuse to make a truly unwatchable piece of content. And just the trailer was unwatchable. It is so bad. So bad. So I'm with you, Wakandan brother. I am with you on that. I couldn't believe my eyeballs. I just couldn't believe them. It was so terrible. So utterly terrible. Anyway, a Rocket Man is saying, I thought it was a fake trailer at first, right? Like that's the quality level of this trailer, Rocket Man. You would think it's a fake trailer for like Tropic Thunder 2, because you know how Tropic Thunder starts with all the fake trailers. It feels like it's a fake trailer to start off Tropic Thunder 2, but nope, it's real. And oh my God, it looks terrible. I am so excited about not watching this movie. I am excited. I am counting down the days to not watching this movie. Very excited about skipping this movie. Very excited. All right, next up. Where are we at here? Next up, Capri Grant writes, 2 of 6. Did I miss 1 of 6? I do not see 1 of 6. Might have accidentally forgot to put in 1 of 6. All right, Capri Grant writes, a couple of things regarding episode 3 of Loki. 1, Loki was drunk. Again, I don't buy that. Situational awareness impaired. 2, the people on Lamentus 1 are aliens. 3, Loki was not seriously fighting them. 3, him getting tossed out of the train window while weighing 500 plus pounds shows they, to some degree, are stronger than humans, but yeesh, Loki has some strong telekinesis. I agree with you that episode 3 was pointless. After some thought, it does remind me of how earlier seasons of Supernatural had unrelated filler episodes, but it had some really likable moments. I love that moment. That moment was great. There were a couple of other good moments too. I have a theory that will sound crazy, but when Loki and Sylvie were talking about Frigga and such, the idea of what if Sylvie is actually Loki's adoptive daughter from another timeline? I mean, Marvel did take Hela from being his daughter, true. The TVA can't be trusted. If Sylvie was taught all she knows from a Loki, then what's to say she just simply didn't take his name up as a mantle against the TVA, and they're using a Loki to track her because her tactics are learned from him. I mean, listen, we've been hearing a lot of theories and whatever about the nature of Sylvie, and there's a million of them out there, and there's one of the theories that I do really like a lot right now. Not that I believe it has a serious chance of being real, but it's a theory I like right now, is that Sylvie isn't actually a Loki. She's actually a Frigga. That would be something. That would be something. Again, I'm not saying I believe that's actually the case. I'm just saying I really like that theory. That's a pretty cool theory that brings a lot of interesting ideas and stuff in there. Again, the implication is that she's just a female version of Loki. They've also been dropping some subtle hints in there that maybe that's not the case. Again, I don't know what the final word on this is going to be. We'll find out in episode 4. But yeah, I mean, look, yeah, she could be a daughter of Loki. She could be an actual Loki. She could be Frigga. She could be something else entirely. I mean, I just simply don't know. For those of you who didn't see me do the open spoiler discussion of episode 3, I was very disappointed in episode 3 of Loki episode 3. And you got to know and understand that I loved episodes 1 and 2. Love them. Love them. But Loki episode 3 was pointless because there was only one piece of narrative direction altering information that's given in the entire episode. And that is, when Sylvie reveals to Loki that the TVA agents are not created by the Timekeepers, but rather they are variants themselves who have been captured and then reset to being TVA agents, which would explain a lot about Mobius for one. But when because here's the thing, after episode 3, I said this. If somebody were to come to me and say, hey, John, I haven't seen episode 3 yet. Do I need to watch episode 3 or do you think I can just skip it and watch episode 4? Honestly, the answer to that question is, all I have to tell you is the TVA agents aren't actually created by the Timekeepers. They're variants who have been put to work for the TVA. If I tell you that, you literally don't need to watch episode 3. You can skip episode 3 and you'll be perfectly fine. You won't be behind. You won't have missed anything important that we know of. But yeah, I felt like the third episode was kind of a disappointment. Look, beautiful CGI work, tremendous CGI work. The Another line I thought was fantastic. The little run through the city at the end I thought was really cool. But overall, it just wasn't a necessary episode. Didn't need to be there. Other than that one piece of information that, by the way, wasn't even revealed as a part of the narrative reveal. It was a throwaway line as they're running away. It's like, oh, by the way, yeah, TVA agents. Like, it was a complete side note. It wasn't even a piece of information that was revealed through the course of telling the narrative. It was just, oh yeah, by the way, TVA agents, variants, blah, blah, blah. Look, wait a minute, what? They weren't created by the Timekeepers? That's it. Other than that, the episode was pointless. Which only makes me really excited for episode 4 because I believe they're going to get back on the right track there. But anyway, that's just my guess. This is my guess. I could be right. I could be wrong. Whatever. All right, guys, that'll do it. I got to stop. Sorry. Jaw's a little sore. Meds are really kicking in. I got to call it. That'll do it for this installment, guys, of our live streamed companion video. Thank you, everybody in the live chat, for being here as we've been talking about all this kind of stuff. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for being here and being a part of it. Don't forget the John Campea Show does return tomorrow. Hopefully my head will be a little bit more clear by then. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett, I hope you guys will join us for that. That's at 10 a.m. Los Angeles time tomorrow morning. Hope you guys will stop in and join us. We're going to talk a little bit about, hey, Fast and Furious. I may think the movie's terrible, but man, it just did big business at the box office. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch of other things as well. Hopefully we'll see you guys then. Special thank you to all you guys who sent in those live questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you also supported this channel as you did, and all of us involved here at the John Campea Show. Thank you guys very, very much for that support. Now, there are still more questions to come, and we will get picked up on those questions on tomorrow's John Campea Show. So that'll do it for me for now, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.